Hey, it's Connie here from Prosperity Finance. How are you? Sharing the best financial tips so that you can be more successful with achieving your financial goals. When clients make an inquiry with us, we normally go back and ask many more questions. We would like to understand deeply what the actual needs are, what their plans are, so that we can help them the best possible way. Normally, the client first time tell us what they want to do is really the surface request. For example, you may say, hey, I want to refinance. Can you see what is the best deal? But then we will ask back, what is the purpose of refinance? Why you want to refinance? Have you considered other options, etc.? Sometimes by asking some deeper question and many ways, we and the clients actually discover kind of a more meaningful strategy to help them achieve kind of a long-term goals. I know it all sounds really fluffy. So in this video, I'm going to share with you a real example, a case study which happened just a couple of days ago. This case, client asked us refinance, but in the end, they find something really, really useful. What happened was I had a phone call from the client say, hey, I've been watching your video and I really like you. I have a loan about $500,000 that due to coming off the fixed term, and I have been with the bank for a few years. I like to refinance just to get some cash back, which is fine enough. Getting cash back and better rates is one of the common reasons people refinance their loan. However, as usual, we don't just take the request. We don't take the order as what they requested, and I just talk with the clients and just to understand a bit more about where they at and what's their plan. So one of the questions I asked them, I said, okay, what is your kind of plan for the next few years? Do you plan to pay down your loan as soon as possible, or are you thinking about buying another rental property? Now, bear in mind, these clients just have one family home, and she and her partner have a really stable and a good income, combined income about 130K, and they currently only have 540K loan against your family home. Now, their response was, of course, I love to. I'm an architect. I actually, would like to buy investment property. However, I don't think that's going to happen because I don't really have a lot of cash. I know it requires 30% deposit to buy a rental property. And then I did some numbers with the client. So let's do it together as well. So let's say the property was 700K. And I understand a few years back, client actually spent about 7 to 80K on renovation. And now the property in the bank's system is worth 700K, but they see it probably worth 740K because we actually did a renovation. So if they spend 80K and the property now only 40K more, then if there's no renovation, then I think probably the capital gain is not great, and the renovation wasn't really, being reflected in the value. And also, what we discovered that if we don't sell the property and we just keep it for the next few years, as owner-occupied property, this property can secure up to 80% of the value. So that's 560K. And the client currently have 540K, therefore they have equity of 20K. If we say client must have 30% deposit, and all the deposit is the 20K equity, they can only buy a property up to kind of 67,000. I don't think it's possible, right? So regardless how much loan they can afford with the income, they don't really have the deposit that the bank require. So that's why they thought there's no way I'm able to buy investment property in the next few years. I have to save really, really hard. However, I challenged their thinking. I said, what if you sell it? Do you really have a good income? And also you are architect. So that means, if you see a property has, relatively, reasonable size of land, or, you can design the layout a bit better, you probably build equity really quickly. So I said, what if you sell the property? Let's say the property can be sold for, say, 720K. Just take the average of bank value and what they believe their property worth. Just be conservative. And then you take out 4% from the sales price as real estate agent's commission, and then repay all the bank loan, which is 540K. What's left over is roughly about 150K, right? So what if I have 150K? Now, when you buy home, you don't really have to provide 20% deposit. You can do 10% deposit, okay? So if they have 150K, and let's assume that's 10% of deposit, they can potentially buy a property up to 1.5 mil, as long as they can borrow the other 90%, right? So that's the income side of thing. How much they can borrow? Can they afford 90% of 1.5 mil, right? So let's have a look. Their borrowing capacity based on income is actually 900K if they fully repay the current debt. If that's the case, then their budgets become 1.05 mil, so they can buy a property, over a mil, right? Now, what we've seen so far is that buy a property with any development potential, I think, it has to be start from, 800K, in Auckland, and 900K. I heard the other day one of my clients actually, can subdivide it. That's real. So if this architect can buy a property, obviously as a home, but potentially, can add a lot of value to it. It's $1 million house. So if you buy right with the knowledge, then it's actually helped them to build the equity really quickly, as opposed to save for 10 years for that 30% deposit. So that client's mind-blowing. So they said, wow, I didn't really know the possibility. So I said, don't be in a hurry to refinance. You still got kind of 2 months for the loan, to be rolled over. So take your time to discuss with your partner, what you want to do. I reckon, you can potentially go down the track of selling the property and then buy a property with future equity, building equity potential. And at the same time, it's your home, right? I think it will be potentially better option than, just, taking the loan to the bank and get $4,000 cash back. So, that's exactly what we do for the clients. We trying to understand really deeply, what their plan. They may not really, thinking about it, maybe because they think it's impossible. But I know, and in their heart, they might have that desire. So, there's no harm to talk about desire. And if we can find a way to help them, get closer to that, we really feel satisfied. So yeah, I just want to share that example with you. Now, if you find this content useful, please feel free to share with your family, friends, or if you haven't subscribed our YouTube channel, please do so, because every week we have great content to share with you. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.